The St. Louis Cardinals are finally back over the 500 mark again. Plus, we've got a new hypothetical trade to bolster the team's rotation to talk about on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor born and raised in the Lou and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast as well at LO_Cardinals. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and we're on YouTube. We're about 55 subscribers short of hitting that magical 10,000 mark. So if you haven't subscribed already and you're listening to this and you like the Cardinals content that we bring you, then make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you comment, be a part of the show. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So high five to all of you. High five in the camera right now. St. Louis Cardinals finally back over the 500 mark. Man, did it take a while. Haven't been there since April. And it seemed like every time they got a chance to actually, get over the 500 mark, they would lose a couple of games, and then they'd have to climb their way out of that again and get back to even. And finally, though, they've gotten over the hump and officially are in the positive again. It wasn't easy, though. It took a lot of clutch plays, some mistakes by the Marlins to get there, but they got the job done in extra innings on Monday night, win it in 12 innings by the score of 7-6. So bravo, boys. We're going to talk more in depth about this game later on in this particular episode, but I want to talk about the trade stuff first, okay? We could go about the game itself on and on and on, but I want to talk about the trade stuff first, okay? Heading into Tuesday's game, the Cardinals are at 36-35. All right, they're 5.5 back. First place Milwaukee in the NL Central. They're a game up on San Francisco in the wild card, so they're in the second wild card slot right now. They're 3.5 back of Atlanta for the first wild card spot, and they've been playing some pretty good baseball, winning baseball. They're 19-11 in their last 30 games, which is the third best record in all of Major League Baseball. And it's tied with the Phillies for the best record in the National League over that 30-game time span. So things have been going well for a team that is missing a lot of big pieces. Arguably their best hitter. Wilson Contreras was their best hitter at the time he got injured. Might even be when he comes back because we've never seen Goldschmidt or Arenado take off yet. I mean, who's the best hitter in the lineup right now? Mason Wynn, I guess, the rookie? Which is fine, but Wilson Contreras is a huge part of this. Currently on a rehab assignment, will be with Memphis here on Tuesday, and we'll be playing. They haven't had Tommy Edman. All around solid player, 2.1 WAR last year, was supposed to be your starting center fielder, switch hitter. He adds speed, he adds defense. Hasn't been around all year. Jordan Walker last year hit 276 with 16 home runs and 51 RBIs. Has not been in St. Louis. Wasn't doing anything when he was with the Cardinals and hasn't been brought up since. Still working on things at Memphis. Lars Nootbaar, in and out of the lineup with injuries again this season. So some pretty big pieces for this offense has been missing. And then on the pitching side, Steven Matz hurt again, which he's on his way back to. Keenan Middleton never got healthy. We never got to see him at the major league level. Riley O'Brien's been gone since the opening series. Giovanni Gallegos continued to regress. Nick Robertson got hurt. And yet the team has endured and has climbed out of the hole that they started the season with and are now a viable playoff-type team. Are they perfect? No. There's certainly a number of different spots where you can try to improve upon and be better. The offense continues to be up and down, and you just never know what's going to happen. The pitching staff, for the most part, been pretty good. The bullpen, very dependable outside of a couple of hiccups here and there. Had one last night with JoJo. but it happens to every team. No team is immune to those problems. So the trade talks will continue to swirl about this team and many others from here until the trade deadline takes place, which will be at the end of July. So you got about a month and a half right now, and it's going to go quick. I know we say a month and a half. You're like, oh, a lot of time to, figure things out. Not really. It'll go very, very quickly. It will. And today's trade talk, courtesy of former MLB GM Jim Bowden at The Athletic. He writes for them now, was GM with the Reds, GM with the Nationals. Just put out an article where he proposed 5 trade ideas for contending teams. And it included trades for some pretty well-known guys. Luis Robert Jr. and Eric Fetty from the Chicago White Sox, Pete Alonso and Luis Severino from the Mets, and Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies. Every single one of those guys would be a welcome addition to the Cardinals. Now, the Ryan McMahon one, don't really have a place for him, so that's not somebody that I would think the Cardinals would be interested in. But from the list of the other 4, with Robert Jr., Fetty, Alonso, and Severino, who do you think Jim Bowden had the Cardinals going after? I'll go ahead. Take a minute. Go ahead. Think it over. All right. If you guessed Eric Fetty, you are today's winner. Congratulations. Yes. Eric Fetty is the guy that Jim Bowden brings up. It's a guy that we have talked about on multiple occasions here on Locked On Cardinals, because he is a guy that just kind of fits what the Cardinals are looking for, right? He's going to be linked not only to the Cardinals, but a lot of teams looking for pitching depth down the stretch as the White Sox continue to blow that whole thing up and try to rebuild. So they're going to be looking for some good young players. You're not going to be able to pawn off any veterans. Like, you're not trading Brandon Crawford for Eric Fetty. Okay, let's get those thoughts out of your head. Matt Carpenter's not going to the White Sox for Eric Fetty. All right, it's going to take something legit. And here is what Jim Bowden proposed. The Cardinals would acquire right-handed pitcher Eric Fetty for the White Sox. For left-handed pitcher Cooper Jerpy and right-handed pitcher Gordon Graceffo. Now, here's what he writes. The Cardinals seem committed to being buyers, not sellers, at the trade deadline, and their front office is focused on adding another veteran starter. Eric Fetty fits what they're looking for as another pitcher to put behind Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Miles Michaelis, and Lance Lynn in the rotation. The 31-year-old signed a 2-year, $15 million deal with the White Sox in the offseason after pitching in South Korea last year. Drafted in the first round by the Nationals back in 2014, but hadn't lived up to expectations until this year. He's gone 5-1 with a 3.09 ERA in 15 starts, with 83 strikeouts in 87 1/3 innings. In return, the White Sox would acquire Cooper Jerpy, a 23-year-old left-hander who has recently been promoted to Double-A after posting a 3.35 ERA in 11 starts for High A Peoria. A 2022 first-round pick, Jerpy has 59 strikeouts and 24 walks in 40 1/3 innings overall this season. Gordon Graceffo was the Cardinals' 5th-round pick in 2021 out of Villanova. He has logged a 4.11 ERA in 13 starts this season for AAA Memphis. He's 24 years old and could go right into Fetty's spot in the White Sox rotation and finish the rest of his development in the majors. The White Sox would control both pitching prospects for at least 6 more years, while Fetty will be eligible for free agency after next season. So that is what Jim Bowden proposes. Cardinals White Sox trade. Now I want you to let that marinate for a second. I just want you to think about it for just a moment. Go through your mind. Cooper Jerpy, Gordon Graceffo, Eric Fetty coming back. Think it over. I will give you my thoughts on this deal next on Locked On Cardinals. Going to baseball games in St. Louis, it is a tradition, even if the team isn't quite living up to expectations, but they've been much better recently. So perhaps things will get a little more exciting at Busch Stadium. You want to make that trip to Ballpark Village and then head on over to Busch to cheer on the Cardinals. And when you need tickets to a game, look no further than the Game Time app. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app, they go down the closer you get to the first pitch. As things get closer and closer, people want to offload those tickets, and you're going to be the benefactor of that by using the Game Time app with killer last-minute deals, They've got the all-in prices, which I find to be amazing. So there's no like secret fees or anything where you think a ticket price is way cheaper, and then you go and you see what you have to pay, and you're like, wait a second. That is not what I thought I was supposed to spend. All-in prices are there for you, so nothing sneaks up on you. You get views from your seat, so you know exactly what you're going to be looking at. You got the last-minute deals, as I mentioned, where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, as well as concerts and comedy and theater. There's going to be a lot of concerts coming through the St. Louis area this summer, and you're going to want to be there. So it's not only Cardinal baseball, but also getting you out to your favorite shows. Don't forget about flash deals, which is something that's cool too, because they'll just pop up, and they're the ones with the lightning bolt above them. And that means that you can save even more with these exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event that you're trying to go to. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. I mean, you can get one seat right there for $20 and be good to go. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, that's LOCKEDONMLB. That's the code you got to redeem to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts for them, hundreds of brands in just a couple clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. You need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team, and you get to talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals, you can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and get serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Maybe you should too. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume because of all the shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming, the annoying screaming. So we got can't miss analysis there, opinions, news. It's 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so my initial thoughts on this trade, which I want your feedback on this, by the way. Make sure you drop it down in the comment section on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting me up on Twitter X as well. My initial thoughts on this trade, again, we'll rehash it. It is Eric Fetty from the Chicago White Sox in exchange for Cooper Jerpy and Gordon Graceffo. So 2 pitching prospects from the Cardinals. My initial thought is nope, not interested. Now, the reason being is I'm not interested in trading Cooper Jerpy at all, but he's a guy the Cardinals seem to like. He's your number 6 overall prospect in your organization. He's your top left-handed pitching prospect in the organization. But I'm not interested in putting him in a deal and Graceffo, who is currently number 8 and was even higher before last year's trade deadline deals, which brought in that much needed depth to the prospect pool in exchange for a guy who he just came over from the Korean League. And although he's had a nice little run here with the White Sox so far, I just don't feel like he's a significant enough upgrade over guys you already have, like Michaelis, Len, and Matz when he's healthy. I can see completely why the White Sox would make a deal like this. I mean, think about this. You signed Eric Fetty, kind of a lottery ticket. You're not paying him a whole lot. And in exchange for him, you're going to get 12 years of control of 2 top 10 guys from the Cardinals system. I mean, that's a no-brainer on their side. But for the Cardinals, I'm sorry, I'm just not pulling the trigger on this kind of a deal for this particular team. Now, if this was a better St. Louis Cardinals team and they were just one piece away from being World Series contenders, then you think a little bit longer, a little bit harder about this. But the Cardinals are not that team. Now, if I would say like a team like the Braves or the Guardians, guys who have lost two big guns from their rotation, the Braves lost Spencer Strider, Guardians lost Shane Bieber. They could use another sturdy arm to go into their rotations. So they might be a little more desperate and be willing to part with better prospects than the Cardinals would. I just don't feel like the Cardinals are at that point where they need to give up somebody like a Cooper Jerpy in exchange for an Eric Fetty. Yesterday I pointed out how much better Miles Michaelis is. And sure, he could go as quickly as he's gone up and pitch better. He could fall right back down. That could happen as well. But if he continues to be this guy that we've seen over the last month, then the Cardinals don't need an Eric Fetty. I mean, if you're going to make a trade involving Cooper Jerpy and Gordon Graceffo, I'd need someone who immediately jumps in as your top three guy, if not the number two guy behind Sonny Gray. That's what I would need. Who is somebody like that might be available? We're not totally sure yet. We've got a few more weeks to go before some of these teams decide to make a decision on whether or not they're going to punt on the season or they're going to try to hang around a little bit longer. I would certainly stay in touch with the Marlins, who, they've got some injuries to guys in their rotation right now, but they've got pitching depth in the organization. So that's a team I would certainly stay in touch with. The Blue Jays. What about the Blue Jays? What if the Blue Jays call it quits? You heard a while ago that maybe they'd move on from a Bo Bichette or a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., those guys. But pitching-wise, there are a couple of names I'd be interested in. What about Kevin Gausman? Who's not having a normal Kevin Gausman type of year? So maybe his price has come down a little bit. He would still have 2 years left on his current contract. 33 years old. Cardinals like that. But he's somebody that, if you put him and Sonny Gray together, I like that. I like that a lot going into a playoff series. Chris Bassett, also another right-hander with the Blue Jays. If I'm going to give up somebody with Jerpy and Graceffo, I'd be shooting for a Gausman deal. But Chris Bassett's another guy. I think he's got maybe one more year left on his deal, mid-30s. I don't know. These are guys that I want to see somebody who's done it over here for a while, other than a guy like Eric Fetty who's done it for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? That's just me being cautious. In a separate story by Bowden, when talking about the Cardinals pitching needs, he listed some other guys other than Eric Fetty. He put Fetty in there. Trevor Williams from the Nationals, he's out with a flexor strain right now, but he was awesome until he got hurt. That would have been cool while he was healthy. The A's, Paul Blackburn, one of my guys. If you're an everydayer, I've been a fan of Paul Blackburn from the A's for a while now. He's on that list, but he's out right now with that foot injury. And then left-hander Tyler Anderson from the Angels, who we've talked about as well here at Locked On Cardinals. Seems like a perfect trade candidate for John Mozeliak and company. But in the article, Bowden says he thinks the Cardinals should be selling. At the time, he did write that the Cardinals, when he posted that, it was back on I think the 13th it was. So it was the morning before they played the Rockies in the last game of that series, before they had gone to Chicago. So since then, the Cardinals have gone 4-1 since that article was posted. So maybe his thought process might be a little bit different now, but he was like, trade Helsley, trade Goldschmidt, get all these guys that you can get a bunch in return. And now I wonder if he's changed his tune a little bit. I just don't know if adding an Eric Fetty makes the Cardinals all that much more of a World Series contender, which is the goal, right? Like, it's not to just sneak into the playoffs. Like, you're trying to win a World Series, and is Eric Fetty the answer? I just feel like you can aim higher than that there are better guys you can get for somebody like a Cooper Jerpy. And Graceffo, maybe the shine on him is dim just a little bit, but still definitely a serviceable arm. So I'm just not trading. Cooper Jerpy's the real key here for me. I'm not interested in moving him whatsoever. Now, if it was, say, a Gordon Graceffo with Drew Rom, who's hurt right now, so probably that wouldn't work. But maybe a Michael McGreevy, another former first-round pick of the Cardinals, somewhere in that area, then I'd probably listen. Maybe an Adam Kloffenstein, something like that. I would listen then. But for me, Jerpy needs to be a part of a bigger trade if you're going to move him than going to get Eric Fetty from the White Sox. That's just me. Let me know your thoughts on this whole idea that Jim Bowden has pulled up. Hit me up in the comments section on Twitter X. Am I being too stingy? Am I pulling a Mo by overvaluing Cooper Jerpy? You let me know. We'll talk about Monday's win, and we got to reminisce about that amazing throw by Dylan Carlson. We'll do that next year on Locked On Cardinals. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 extra cash. Your PrizePicks could turn like $10 into $1,000 in a single game. By watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you're locked in. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats projections on days like today, on Tuesdays, which increases your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. And there's no better way to cash in on all the Cardinals baseball action than with PrizePicks. Add your favorite players from the diamond, whether it's the Cardinals, or you can pick guys from other teams if you want to. That's fine. Add them to your PrizePicks lineups all season long, and you get the strikeouts, the RBIs, the home runs, the stolen bases. You take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks lineup today, and you can win big. So download the app today. Use that code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today. PrizePicks, baby. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's also now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So what a roller coaster of emotions it was last night, right? I mean, I when I tell you I was mentally and emotionally exhausted after the win on Monday, I am not lying to you. Like, I was done. I watched that game, and then I'm trying to remember what I turned on. I turned something on afterwards. I was looking at highlights or whatever, and I passed out in like 15 minutes. Like, I was spent. The Cardinals, they love tight games. They love them, baby. It's almost as if they prefer them. They like seek them out, because winning by 3 or more runs is just not interesting enough for them or something. Like last night, we had this pitcher's duel for 7 innings, right? Sonny Gray doing his thing. On the other side, it's Braxton Garrett, who I tried to tell you guys before the game started, don't look at his numbers. He's a better pitcher than that. Threw very, very well for the Fish. He looked good. That's the normal Braxton Garrett guy that I've seen pitch more times than not. 6 innings, 1 run, solo shot by my guy Michael Ciani. Are we really going to bench Michael Ciani when Edmund comes back? Is that happening? Can we do that? But Garrett allows just 5 hits. He whiffs 6. Had the Cardinals flailing all over the place. They didn't look good. They didn't look comfortable in the box, did they? And Sonny Gray doing Sonny Gray stuff. Wasn't striking out as many people as he normally does, but very efficient. We're in the top of the 8th inning, and the Cardinals get 3 runs in that inning, thanks in part to some mistakes by the Marlins. You can see why the Marlins have been a losing team. Like, a lot of little things just kept going against them last night. Like, they just make bonehead errors, wild pitches, just silly stuff. And the umps weren't doing them any favors last night either. Skip Schumacher had to make 4 challenges last night and won all 4 of them. 4 calls the umps had screwed up last night, and Skip had to get them reviewed and changed. Like, things just were not going well for the Marlins, and yet there they were, sticking around this game. So you're in the top of the 8th. You get the leadoff single from Wynn. Gorman strikes out again. He is in a bad spot right now at the plate. Goldie then walks. Arenado, he had an ugly night. a very tough 0 for 6. He flies out. You get the second wild pitch of the inning to move the runners up to second and third with 2 outs, and it's Ivan Herrera, who I told you, like, what are they going to do with the catcher position when Wilson comes back? Because they like Pedro Pages behind the plate. They like Herrera in the lineup. Where does he go? What's he do when you bring Wilson Contreras back? But anyway, he dumps one into right field. They gave him a triple, scores both runners. I don't know whether it was the spin on the baseball, but when it hit, it kind of went left again and just went right past their right fielder, De La Cruz, or Sanchez. It was Sanchez in right field. So it goes right past him all the way down to the wall. Herrera gets a triple. It's 3-1. And because he got landed on third there, the next batter is Brendan Donovan. He singles, and he scores easily from third base. You got a 4-1 lead, and it seems like the Cardinals have got it in the bag, right? Got it in the bag. I actually went upstairs to watch a little bit of the Paul Skeens and Reds game with my wife. She was watching the Reds and Pirates. I was like, all right, Cardinals got this one. But Sonny runs out of steam a little bit in that 8th inning, and with 1 on and 2 out and a lefty coming up, Ollie decides to go to the pen. He's going to get Jojo Romero. And I know a lot of people were pissed off about this move. They're like, why is he taking him out? Why don't we keep pulling everybody too early? In my opinion, I'd rather pull him a little bit early than too late, and then some serious damage gets done, despite what happened on Monday night. But Romero's coming in. He's not supposed to face De La Cruz. Remember that. He's supposed to face Jazz Chisholm Jr. That's who he was brought in to face. That's why I didn't hate this move. Lefty on lefty. Gray was at 84 pitches. I get that. But Ollie talked about after the game where, he had sat a long time because that top of the 8th inning was pretty darn long. And he was having kind of a tough inning already. And Jazz had already hit him well earlier in the game. So he thought it made a lot of sense. It made sense to me. But JoJo screws up and he walks Chisholm on 5 pitches. Not even close. He was all over the place. And that brings in the right-hander De La Cruz. You've got the rule that you got to face 3 hitters. Smacks a changeup that Romero left up in the zone a little bit, and 3-run homer to the opposite field, and all of a sudden we're tied. And then we get into the marathon. We go to extra innings. Both teams get shut down in the 10th inning. They both get 1 in the 11th by playing a little bit of small ball. And then in the 12th inning, it's Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn, how huge has this kid been this year? Like, do you remember when people thought he wasn't going to be able to hit at the major league level? Like, remember that? Remember when people thought that? Mason Wynn, 2-run jack. 4th home run of the season. He's been doing it all year. Clutch situations. The kid is something special. Cardinals get that 2-run cushion going into the bottom half. But the Marlins, who you would think by now would have given up, put the white flag up. No, they don't. Kudos to them for not quitting in this game. Marlins won't go away. First hitter, Nick Gordon, against Andrew Kittredge. What does he do? He triples to right field. And you have that whole scene where, Dylan Carlson puts his arms up, says the ball is lodged underneath the fence there. And then the umps review this because Skip Schumacher's like, it wasn't lodged. Apparently it wasn't lodged according to their ground rules. So they give Gordon third base and he gets a triple. So 1 run is already in because you have that ghost runner at second. So now you're in a situation where there's a runner on third, nobody out, and ground ball, sack fly, wild pitch. You got a number of different ways that this guy can get in. Basically anything but a strikeout and a pop out would probably tie the game. So coming up is Tim Anderson, who I know he's caught a lot of hell for not being the guy that he was with the White Sox, but he had some good at-bats last night. I was kind of impressed. I was like, wow, he doesn't seem like he's as bad as everybody made him seem. But anyway, he hits a line shot to right field, right at Dylan Carlson. And Dylan Carlson, if you have a son or a daughter who plays outfield, he does make him watch this because he does everything about as perfect as you can do it. Like he gets a couple of steps because it's a line shot, so he doesn't have a lot of time to like set up to try to get his momentum going towards home plate, but he does get a couple of steps there. Lines it up, catches the ball right up here, so it doesn't take a lot for him to go right into a throwing motion, gets the momentum towards the plate, and unleashes an absolute seed to home plate. Pedro Pages barely had to move. It was a little bit up the line if you're going to critique anything about this, but boom, bullseye, right on target, nails Gordon at home plate for the second out, saves the day, saves the game. Cardinals go on to win at 7-6. A tremendous play by Dylan Carlson. The defense all night actually was on fire. I genuinely leapt from my seat when this play happened. I was like, he got it! Like, I was so hyped for that. First off, we love seeing good things happen for Dylan Carlson. All right? We love it because we want him to be good so bad. And just beautiful defense throughout the game. Like, even the last out, the ground out to Arenado over a third, who again had a rough night at the plate, and he ends up spiking the last throw over to first base, and it's Paul Goldschmidt who makes this fantastic scoop to end the game. Mason Wynn had 2 double plays where he took it himself, ran to second, threw to first. Very Ozzy-like, just footwork, arming, like everything was beautiful. Michael Ciani, per usual, makes another great catch in center field. Like, are we really going to bench this guy? Just a fun game, stressful game, but a fun game. A lot of action going on after the 7th inning, right? Just 1-1 until then, but a W nonetheless. So shout out to Ryan Fernandez for his 2 innings of work. He was excellent. One of those games that, if you lose that game, it's crippling and demoralizing. You're like, how did we let it slip away? And for a while there, I didn't think they were going to do it. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it, but they proved me wrong. And they win this game, and it's a great team effort, and they should be really excited about it because they tried to give it up, but they get the W. They get the W. They're so good in close games this year. It's wild. Tonight, Lance Lynn will get the start against Roddery Munoz for Miami. His last time out, he actually pitched very well against the Mets, but got hit kind of hard by the Guardians and Dodgers before that. So hopefully, the Cardinals did put up 7 runs last night. Took a little while to get there. You had to use some ghost runners to get there as well, but they ended up putting up 7 runs. So hopefully the Bats are ready to rock tonight again in Miami. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.